Good day, everyone. Today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about you perhaps doing postgrad after you've finished your undergrad degree at the end of this year. Before I start, a little disclaimer. So this is my personal opinion. It's not any sort of official departmental or the university's opinion. It's just based on my own experience of doing postgrad in our department. Okay, so the reason I'm talking to you about this now and not, for example, in November would be that you kind of need to start thinking about this much earlier in the year. You'll see in some of my latest slides that some of the deadlines for bursaries, for example, all end in the second half of this year. So if you wake up on 1 January next year and decide you want to do postgrad, you'll actually miss out on a lot of opportunities if you only start thinking about it then. Now, why would you consider something like postgrad? Well, deep down, you sort of enjoy doing projects. Project is your first example of you've got a complicated problem, it's only you and the problem, and it's a long-term thing that you're working on. There's very technical aspects of it. Some aspects are a bit tedious, but it's sort of you did project and you didn't hate it. Maybe you didn't end up doing the project that you wanted to do, but you can sort of see that the overall process is not the end of the world for you, and you enjoyed it slightly deep down in your core. So you also have a bit of curiosity left. So maybe in your undergrad studies you were exposed to some field of our discipline and you found that really interesting, and when that module ended you were kind of sad because you wanted to continue learning more about that. The other thing is you want to learn more about yourself. So doing something like postgrad, it's a very individual type of learning experience. You sort of learn where your boundaries are. If I can sort of put it in slang, it's sort of how smart am I really? Can I really tackle a hard problem for an extended period of time? You'll end up growing during this process as well. So during your postgrad studies, you'll be doing research. So, well, what is research? Well, we're attempting to find better ways to do things. Your undergrad degree would have taught you a lot about, okay, there is a problem, here are the tools. When you hit this wall, here's a slightly more advanced, better tool. And research is sort of how all of that was developed. There was a problem, we had an initial idea, and now we're trying to find something better or something completely new. And the nice thing about postgrad would be you now got some freedom to work in an area that's of interest to you. You might not have gotten your first choice for project. My project was about a swimming pool. I've got no interest in doing research in swimming pools. I'll just go for a swim. So now I can pick something that's much more interesting to me personally, and then I can work in that field. You might not be able to pick the exact thing you're interested in, but it could be, well, I generally like wireless networks, so I'm going to go do my postgrad in wireless networks. You, of course, need to consider the other side of the coin, which would be, why not? Well, quite frankly, your undergrad degree is a really good degree. Unlike some of the other disciplines or degrees out there, you don't need postgrad studies to find a job. Your undergrad degree is already plenty, and you can go find a very good job with just that degree. The other thing, of course, would be money. So doing postgrad has a financial impact. You're not immediately earning a engineer level salary. You might need to support yourself, your family, things like that. Then, of course, there's time. So this would take you, let's say, in honors 1 year, masters most likely 2 years. So there is that time aspect as well. And then, quite frankly, it's just not for you. You've done your 4, 5, 6 years here at university, and you're finished. You want to go out there to the big, much more interesting world, or you just know that I don't really want to spend a year or 2 years on one thing, working on one technical thing. I like variety in my work, and you know that you would just be frustrated with doing something. Postgrad is also very, in a sense, isolating. It is your problem, and it's similar to project. So it's your area. You're the one that's reading up about it, and actually sort of knows the most about it. It's not sort of a very we're a team and all three of us contribute equally to this problem. It's very much, this is your interest, this is your area. So in that sense, it can be slightly isolating, and you can feel that even though there's other people doing postgrad, they've got their own problems, they've got their own areas, and they may not be able to help you specifically with what you're doing. So that might not be for you. So the next question would be, okay, so when do I do project? And with that I mean full-time versus part-time. We do offer part-time, for example, for honors and masters and PhD, for example, but you really need to consider there that you could potentially do it part-time, but from my personal experience and the people I've talked to about who are doing it part-time, it's really, really hard in the sense that you're working 40 hours at some company, it's brand new work to you there, you're quite exhausted, and then now you have to give up your weekends and your little bit of leave that you have to now work on something that's potentially very unrelated or only slightly related to what your full-time job is. So if it's at all possible in terms of your finances, something like full-time would be much more beneficial. You can give it the time it needs and then sort of still earn an income through bursaries and part-time work. Also, other thing you need to consider is, for example, your plan is to only do honors. Some other degrees, their honors really has a lot of value for them. In our department, in my experience, the honors is very much structured to help you with your masters. So if you just do your honors and then leave, you would have ended up doing a lot of groundwork and then left. So our honors isn't like undergrad modules where you learn something specific. It's much more tailored to, okay, what is your master's going to be? Then we're going to tweak your honors assignments to match that. So if you just do the honors, you'll get a sense of, I've given up a year of my life, I've done these modules, and I was now sort of 50% or 40% done with a master's, and now I'm ending it. So so you can consider it, but just know that at least in our case, the honors is very much structured around the idea of molding into a master's. Okay, so next question is, okay, where do I do it? Well, the first step would be to pick a research group, and all of them have a website, and through project and discussing with your friends who have project, you can sort of get an idea of what each research group does. Your next step would be to pick a supervisor. So there are, let's say you enjoy machine learning. There are multiple people at university that do machine learning in different ways. So if you're picking something like that, go and consider and realize that they might be in different research groups, or there's multiple supervisors at a research group that all do the same thing. So have a look at all of them. Don't just consider one person, because you need to find someone that's compatible with you. Some research groups have a very strict, you need to be here 9 to 5. If you're not here, I'm going to send you an email, I'm going to call you to ask what's happening. Others have a much more relaxed, you sort of work from home or in the office, we don't care, as long as you do your work. So you need to find someone compatible with that. Look at their time requirements. Do they have 30 students? So there's not really a lot of time for you. How's their expertise in the area that you're interested in? And then also they all have different levels of opportunities. They might be working with an external company or have applied for a specific bursary that they can then award money to their students. So you need to discuss with them to say, okay, if I'm under you, what sort of bursaries do your students typically apply for, and what are my chances? Is there maybe some opportunities to go work at a overseas university for a while? Do you have those sort of connections? So that you can make sure that the person you pick is a right fit for you. You also need to be aware that you can change supervisor. It's possible to do your honors under someone, then switch to someone else for your masters, and there is even a process where you change supervisor, let's say midway through your masters. It's not ideal, it's not recommended, but the possibility is there. It can be done. Then you need to find a topic. So some supervisors will say, this is my general area, go and find yourself a topic. Others will say, well, I've got a bit more of a targeted approach. I've got these 3 topics available for a master's student. Which one of the 3 interests you the most? So they all have a slightly different style. So but then you need to find a topic that you personally find interesting and can work on it for a long term. You also have to consider, do you want to work from home mainly, or do you want to work on campus? They both have advantages and disadvantages. At home could be nice in terms of you don't have to travel. Your home environment might already be set up quite nicely. But then you do have the problem that you're working for your unlike undergrad, your deadlines will be in months. So I need to make this assignment has a 2 month deadline. So it can be hard to wake up every morning and to get started if there's no one around you that sort of also has to wake up and get started. So on campus, there's more of a sort of a postgrad community. There are other people in your offices. You can actually talk to them about problems or ideas or an interesting paper, and there's a bit more of a sense of we're all in this together. So one of the ways you can generate an income, of course, while you're working is to become an assistant lecturer or an AL. I think the is normally advertised around, I think, November on the undergrad page. So why would you want to be this? Well, quite frankly, it's your chance to become a bit more of an adult. If I can, you have bills to pay, you need an income. And I've noticed that it's nice when all of your friends start working. If you then also have at least a part-time job, they all immediately, with their new salaries, want to go do fun, exciting things, like, for example, go to the movies once a week. For them, it's affordable. For you, on your original student budget, that will likely not be affordable. So you get a bit of flexibility there. You also get free friends. All the ILs tend to know each other. We have to work together. So in a sense, you get some free friends. You, of course, get money, which is always nice. Like I said, you've got rent, you've got bills, and it's just nice to have some income. Another nice advantage is I'll work as a lot of flexi time. So I need to mark prac reports. If I mark it in the morning or at night, on Monday or Tuesday, that doesn't really matter. I can fit it into my schedule. And of course, if you didn't have a great experience in a module or some modules, you can, of course, improve it for the next generation. You've got some ideas for how things can be done better, become an AL and implement them. The downside, of course, is, well, you have to work with students. So you'll quickly realize that being on the other side of the red pen, things actually look slightly differently. Now, all of a sudden, it's you that has the problem that nobody read the instructions and handed in the reports late, or didn't sign the front page, or showed up late and didn't send you an email about missing the prac, things like that. So if you're interested, it's quite normal to be unsure. Not a lot of people have 100% certainty in the middle of their final year. Yes, this is what I want to do. It's not, your brain sort of needs time to think about it. I remember for me personally, in the middle of my final year, my main focus was how to make this project work. The idea of doing postgrad was like nowhere near at that time. So, but what you need to do is start this process now. Start thinking about it. Consider your situation. Where do I want to be in 1, 2, or 3 years? Then talk to some potential study leaders. Just because you talk to someone today doesn't mean that you are now locked in as their student and they're going to be furious with you if come 1 January you tell them, look, my situation changed, I got a job offer, I'm now leaving. They are humans as well. So, but you need to talk to them to get an idea of what are the possibilities that you could do, and find about, like I said, what type of bursaries their students normally have and the due dates for them. All of their due dates will be in this year. For example, August or September or November. So if you want to do honors next year, you can't wake up 1 January and decide, I want to do honors, let me find a study leader and apply for some bursaries and AL position. All of those due dates would have already been passed. And then, of course, the best way to find out about a study leader is to talk to them, but then also talk to their students. They will tell you what is life like in their lab. How's it? They will happily tell you about their work and how that links to the supervisor's work, how they find that relationship. Is it working for them? What is their supervisor's style? And like, well, here I wrote buy us coffee. Of course, with COVID now, that's probably very unlikely, but the point is they're all very interested and they'll happily talk to you about their experiences. I've given you the link there for the UP page on funding, so you'll see there's a whole bunch of bursaries listed there, but there are others that are not on that list that's more, but what a study leader will know about. So for example, there's the UP bursaries every year, the NRF, CSSR bursaries, the SKA, Huawei, and there are several others. But you need to know about them, you need to know about their due dates. So there's also a more sort of official postgrad evening. It used to be around September. We'll see what happens this year, whether you get introduced to all the research groups and you can talk to some people. If you're interested in ASN, feel free to send me an email. I can tell you a little bit more about what we do. And if you're interested in a group, but it's not ASN and you don't know any postgrad students or a part of that group, also just send me an email and I should know someone from every single group who can then redirect you and you can have someone to talk to about the work that they do. And then I couldn't resist. I had to add this little comic from PhD Comic, which is a fantastic website. And if you look at their comics, you'll see it is incredibly accurate to how the postgrad process actually works. And of course, if you use someone else's work, you have to reference it.